The academy floated silently above the green and blue planet, its massive structure glinting in the light of a distant sun. The orbiting station was usually calm at this hour. Cadets walked briskly along the corridors, some laughing, others focused on their training. But today, the calm was broken by a sudden, sharp alert. The scanner above the main hall blinked red, flashing the words, "Threat level rising." Alarms echoed through the station, piercing the steady hum of machinery. Cadets froze. In the chaos, some rushed to secure their weapons, while others stared at the blinking lights, unsure what to do. At the center of it all stood Captain Alara, her dark hair tied in a tight braid, eyes sharp and alert. She was not tall, but her presence was commanding. Every cadet in the room knew her reputation: unmatched reflexes, intelligence beyond her years, and a sense of calm, even in the worst situations. Her gaze swept the hall as she assessed the situation, noticing the tiniest details others missed. Something was off. The scanner readings were fluctuating rapidly, like it could not make sense of what it was detecting. Alara's instinct screamed that this was no ordinary drill. Her hand went to the small communicator on her uniform. "Lock down the perimeter," she ordered, her voice firm but steady. "All cadets, stay alert. This is not a test." The cadets moved quickly, some with hesitation, others with more confidence. But before anyone could react fully, the hall doors burst open. A figure ran in, moving fast and silent. One of the younger cadets, eager to prove himself, stepped forward. He attempted a kick, aimed at what he thought was the intruder's shoulder. Alara reacted instantly. With one hand, she blocked the cadet's kick, twisting her wrist to redirect the force harmlessly. The cadet stumbled, surprised at the power and speed behind her single-handed move. Alara's eyes narrowed as she focused on the intruder, who had stopped at the edge of the hall, scanning the cadets with a strange device that pulsed light. The scanner above flashed even faster. Threat level critical. Red lights bathed the hall, shadows dancing across the walls. Cadets whispered nervously, glancing at each other, unsure what to do. But Alara did not move. She could feel the danger approaching, could sense it before the sensors fully registered it. Her training, her instincts, and something deeper, something almost instinctual, told her this was more than a threat. The intruder made a step forward, and suddenly, the device in its hand emitted a low hum. The cadets flinched, stepping back. But Alara remained calm. She raised her hand, signaling the others to stay in place. "Do not panic," she said firmly. "Watch and learn. Stay alert, but do not act without reason." The intruder's eyes glowed faintly, scanning each cadet. Alara's mind raced. These readings, they weren't just random. They were evaluating the cadets, testing them like some strange game. Her heart beat faster, but she kept her expression steady. She needed information, any clue that could help her understand this threat. Then, as quickly as it had started, the intruder moved again. It lunged toward the central training platform, a sleek, metallic weapon in its hands. The cadets froze, unsure whether to fight or flee. But Alara didn't hesitate. She sprinted forward, faster than anyone could anticipate, and met the intruder in the center of the hall. They clashed. Metal rang against metal. Alara moved with precision, blocking and dodging, her movements almost dancing. The cadet she had saved earlier watched in awe, realizing that the calm, calculated strength Alara possessed was something far beyond ordinary training. The intruder seemed to anticipate her moves, shifting and countering as if it knew what she would do before she did it. But Alara was not just reacting. She was observing, calculating. Each movement of the intruder gave her information. Each strike, each shift, revealed its style, its weakness. Suddenly, the scanner above changed again. Threat level extreme. The lights flashed faster, alarms blaring. The entire academy seemed to tremble under the tension. Cadets clutched their weapons, unsure what to do next. Some whispered, "Is it even human?" Alara did not answer. She focused on the intruder, anticipating its next move. And then, with a swift motion, she redirected a strike using only her one hand. The intruder staggered, taken aback by the precision and power of her defense. For a brief moment, the hall was silent, except for the alarms and the faint hum of machinery. Her eyes met those of the intruder, and in that instant, something changed. She could feel it, a pause, a hesitation. The intruder's movements became slightly slower, more cautious. Alara realized this was her chance. She had observed enough. But before she could act, a loud siren rang through the hall. "Warning! Unknown entity approaching," the station's AI announced. The doors to the academy began to shake, warning lights flashing along the walls. The intruder paused, sensing the incoming danger. Alara knew that whatever was coming next would be far more dangerous than the lone figure in front of her. She took a deep breath, her mind racing. The unexpected turning point had arrived. The calm she had relied on so many times before was gone. Now, she had to act not just to protect herself, but to protect the cadets, the academy, and perhaps even the planet below. The cadets watched as she signaled them back, gathering them near the central console. "Listen carefully," she instructed, her voice calm but commanding. "We are facing something we do not fully understand. Follow my lead. Stay together, stay alert, and do not engage unless I say so." The intruder, sensing the change in the hall, stepped back, its glowing eyes fixed on Alara. The scanner continued its rapid flashing, the words "threat level rising," repeating over and over. Outside, the unknown entity approached, its shadow growing larger across the observation windows. Alara moved to the central console, tapping commands quickly. She accessed the sensor logs, the security feeds, and the Academy's defense protocols. Her mind raced as she tried to understand the threat. Every second counted. Every move could mean the difference between life and death. Suddenly, a new alert appeared on the screen. "Incoming vessel, unidentified, high velocity." The Academy shook as distant vibrations signaled the approach of something massive. Cadets exchanged nervous glances. Whispers of fear filled the hall. But Alara did not flinch. She felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. "Prepare for immediate lockdown," she ordered. "All cadets, follow me. Now." They moved swiftly, shutting doors, sealing corridors, and activating defensive measures. The intruder, now recognizing the Academy's preparations, retreated slightly, its movements cautious but deliberate. Alara's eyes never left it. She knew that the coming moments would test every skill she had learned, every instinct she possessed. The hall fell silent for a moment, save for the steady hum of machinery and the flashing red lights of the scanner. Cadets held their positions, eyes wide, hearts pounding. They trusted Alara, and she knew that their lives depended on her next moves. Then, as if sensing the tension, the intruder advanced again. But this time, Alara was ready. She moved with precision, intercepting the first attack with her one hand, twisting and redirecting the force effortlessly. The cadets watched, inspired and in awe, realizing that the true strength of a human was not just in power, but in intelligence, strategy, and courage. Outside, the shadow of the unknown vessel grew closer. The unexpected turning point had arrived. The calm days of the Academy were over. Alara knew that the challenges ahead would push them beyond anything they had faced before. And yet, despite the fear, she felt a strange surge of determination. This was her moment, not just to survive, but to show that humanity could stand, even against the unknown. And as the alarms blared, the scanner flashed, and the unknown threats advanced, Alara prepared herself for the battle that would change everything. The cadets followed her lead, their fear replaced with a sense of purpose. Together, they would face the danger, relying on their wits, their courage, and their trust in each other. And somewhere deep within the station, the scanner continued its relentless flashing, threat level rising. The story had just begun, and the unexpected turning point had set everything in motion. The Academy's alarms screamed through the corridors, sending vibrations through every wall and floor panel. Outside the observation windows, the vast blackness of space stretched endlessly, pierced by distant stars. Yet the stars could not hide the growing shadow of the unknown vessel. It moved with a strange, deliberate precision, unlike any ship the cadets had ever seen. Captain Alara stood at the central console, her fingers flying over the touch-sensitive panels. Her eyes scanned the incoming data, trying to make sense of it all. The scanner readings were chaotic, pulsing lights, fluctuating numbers, and strange symbols that no one in the Academy recognized. "This isn't just a ship," she muttered, almost to herself. "It's something more. Something alive or something thinking." A junior cadet, barely 16, approached nervously. "Captain, what is it? Is it alien?" His voice trembled, and he glanced at the glowing red scanner above. Alara did not answer immediately. Instead, she studied the approaching vessel, noticing details that others overlooked. Its surface reflected the stars, but in irregular patterns, like it was constantly shifting. It had no recognizable weapons visible from the sensors, yet the readings indicated enormous destructive potential. "It's not like anything we've faced before," Alara finally said. "We don't know its purpose yet, but we do know one thing. It's assessing us." She turned to the assembled cadets. "I need volunteers for a perimeter check. We must understand where it can reach inside the station. Move quickly, but carefully." A few cadets nodded, stepping forward. The hallways of the academy were tight, narrow corridors lined with advanced machinery, observation ports, and weapon racks. Alara led her small team, her eyes scanning every corner. Even a small misstep could be fatal if the intruder, or the unknown vessel, was already inside. As they moved, the scanners flared again. "Intruder detected in training hall." The alert tone was sharp, causing the cadets to tighten their grips on their weapons. They reached the training hall quickly. The intruder from before, the one Alara had blocked with a single hand, was gone. But the hall showed signs of movement, scorch marks on the floor, a shattered observation screen, and the faint scent of ozone from energy discharges. Alara's instincts told her something important had happened. She bent down, examining the floor. Small, irregular tracks led to the side door, almost invisible. "It's still here," she whispered. "And it's smart. It knows how to move without being detected." The cadets exchanged worried looks. One of them asked, "Captain, what do we do? Do we engage it?" Alara shook her head. "Not yet. We observe. We learn. Then we strike with purpose. Panic kills more than the enemy ever could." Suddenly, the lights in the hall flickered. A low hum resonated from the walls, vibrating through the floor. The cadets stiffened, sensing the change before they could understand it. A soft glow began to appear at the far end of the hall, a projection of sorts, a holographic image that shimmered like liquid metal. Alara took a step forward. The projection formed into a figure, humanoid but clearly not human. Its eyes glowed faintly, scanning the cadets. The figure spoke, but the words were not in any known language. Yet, somehow, the meaning was clear, an immediate sense of evaluation, judgment, and challenge. The cadets whispered nervously. "It's talking to us without words." Alara's mind raced. This entity, this unknown enemy, was not merely a physical threat. It was intelligent, adaptive, and dangerous. Every move they made was being analyzed. Every hesitation counted. She raised her hand. "Hold your positions. Do not react aggressively unless I order it. Let's see what it wants." The projection shifted slightly, stepping closer. The cadets instinctively drew their weapons, but Alara's calm gaze stopped them. She studied the projection, noting subtle patterns in its movements, like tiny delays, almost human in nature. Then it moved suddenly, a blur faster than the eye could follow. One cadet screamed as it darted past, leaving a streak of light in the air. Alara reacted instantly, her reflexes allowing her to block a follow-up strike aimed at the console. The force of the blow sent a shockwave through her arm, but she held firm. "Watch it," she shouted. "Every movement counts. Learn from it." The cadets began to understand. This was not a mindless enemy. Every strike, every movement of the intruder was a lesson in anticipation, speed, and adaptation. They started observing, noticing patterns, predicting its next moves. Outside the observation window, the larger vessel hovered closer. It was massive now, dwarfing the Academy, its surface shimmering with the same liquid metal effect as the intruder inside. Sensors indicated that it was capable of advanced cloaking and energy manipulation. Every time the cadets thought they had measured its speed or trajectory, the vessel changed subtly, like it was aware of their calculations. Alara clenched her fists. She knew the Academy would not survive a direct attack from that vessel. They had to fight smart, not hard. "Return to the main hall," she ordered. "We need to coordinate with the defense systems. Time is short." The cadets moved quickly, following her lead. As they reached the central console, Alara accessed the defense grid, scanning for weak points. Her eyes widened. The intruder and the vessel outside were connected somehow, communicating faster than the Academy's systems could measure. "They're working together," she muttered. "This isn't just an attack. It's an experiment or a test." The cadets exchanged nervous glances. "A test?" one asked. Alara nodded. "Yes. To see what we are capable of. To see how humans respond under pressure. And to see if we can survive it." Suddenly, the central console beeped urgently. "Alert! Breach in Sector 3. Defenses compromise." Alara's mind raced. Sector 3 contained critical systems, including the Academy's power core. If the intruder gained access, the entire station could collapse. She turned to the cadets. "Two of you, come with me. We're going to secure the breach. The rest, stay here and maintain the defense grid." "Understood." "Yes, Captain," they replied, following her quickly down the narrow corridors. The air in Sector 3 was tense, charged with static from the failing systems. The intruder had left traces of energy burns along the walls, flickering lights, and the smell of ozone. Alara's eyes scanned everything, noting every detail. She moved like a shadow, silent and precise. Then she saw it, the intruder, standing near the power core, its glowing eyes fixed on her. Its body shimmered slightly, like liquid metal shifting beneath a solid surface. It raised a hand, and suddenly, energy surged from it toward the cadets. Alara reacted instantly. She lunged forward, deflecting the energy with a single hand, twisting her wrist to redirect the force safely into the floor. The cadets behind her shielded themselves, watching in awe. "This is it," Alara shouted. "Observe, learn, and strike when the opportunity comes." The intruder moved again, faster than before, striking from multiple angles simultaneously. But Alara was ready. She danced through the attacks, her reflexes flawless. Each strike of the intruder revealed its weaknesses, its patterns. She began to see a way to counter it. Suddenly, the intruder paused. A faint hum emitted from the vessel outside, echoing through the station. The intruder's body shimmered violently, as if drawing power from the larger ship. Alara's eyes narrowed. She realized the connection between the intruder and the vessel outside was not just communication, it was energy transfer. If they could disrupt it, they could weaken both. "Cadets," she said, "listen carefully. We are going to split their focus. 2 of you with me. The rest, overload the external sensors to create interference. This will give us the advantage." The plan was risky, almost reckless, but it was the only chance. The cadets nodded, trusting her instinct. Alara's heart pounded, but her face remained calm. As they moved into position, the intruder advanced again, unaware of the trap being set. Alara's mind calculated every move, every possibility. They were at the edge of disaster, and the turning point for humanity's survival was approaching faster than anyone could imagine. The station shuddered as the vessel outside grew closer, its shadows stretching across the observation windows. The unexpected enemy had forced the cadets into a situation they had never trained for. And yet, under Alara's guidance, they were beginning to see a way to turn fear into strength. The unknown enemy had underestimated humans. It had assumed fear and hesitation would dominate. But Alara knew better. She could feel it in the air, the moment when the tide would turn. And when it did, they would not just survive, they would fight back. The cadets steadied themselves, gripping weapons and tools, ready to act on Alara's command. The intruder's movements became more aggressive, more confident, but Alara's eyes were sharper, faster, calculating. And as the energy hum from the external vessel grew louder, the Academy prepared for a confrontation that would change everything. The unknown enemy had arrived. And Captain Alara was ready. The alarm blared across the Academy, echoing through every hall and chamber. Red lights flashed violently, painting shadows that danced along the walls. Outside, the massive alien vessel loomed like a silent predator, its metallic surface shifting with strange fluidity. The unknown intruder inside the Academy moved with equal grace and menace, a blur of motion that seemed almost untouchable. Captain Alara's eyes never left it. Her breathing was steady, her mind calculating every possibility. Around her, cadets clutched their weapons, fear etched into their young faces, but she radiated calm. Every moment counted. Every move had to be perfect. The intruder lunged, faster than the human eye could track. Energy surged from its weapon, arcs of blue-white light shooting toward the cadets. Alara reacted instantly. She stepped forward, placing a hand in front of her like a shield, and blocked the energy strike with one hand. The force pushed her backward, but her balance remained perfect. She twisted her wrist, redirecting the energy harmlessly into the floor. Sparks flew, illuminating the hall with jagged light. A cadet next to her gasped, "Captain, how did you?" "Focus," she snapped, eyes fixed on the intruder. "Learn from this. Watch its patterns." The intruder paused, glowing eyes flicking to Alara. For a fraction of a second, it hesitated. That was all she needed. She lunged forward, one hand extended, and struck it mid-motion. The force was precise, enough to knock it off balance without causing serious damage. The cadets watched, wide-eyed, as Alara's single-handed combat moves unfolded with flawless timing. She had trained for years, honing her reflexes, agility, and strength. But this was unlike anything she had faced. The intruder adapted with every movement, almost anticipating her strikes. Every block, every dodge became a test of skill, timing, and intuition. Suddenly, the intruder split its motion into multiple attacks, moving at impossible angles. Alara adjusted instantly, deflecting a kick with her forearm, twisting to block a swipe aimed at her shoulder, and redirecting a blade with a flick of her wrist. Cadets behind her mirrored her movements, learning how to react under pressure. The intruder growled, a low, mechanical sound that vibrated through the walls. Energy sparks flew from its weapon as it launched another strike. This time, Alara caught it midair, gripping the weapon with one hand and twisting it away. The cadets watched in awe as she flipped backward, landing perfectly on her feet, still controlling the weapon with precision. "Never panic," she shouted, scanning the hall. "Every move counts." But the intruder was relentless. It lunged again, faster, stronger, more unpredictable. Its body shimmered like liquid metal, absorbing impacts that would have broken normal human bones. It was adaptive, learning from each strike, each block. Alara's mind raced. She had to stay ahead, not just react, but anticipate. Then, she noticed something, a small delay in its attack pattern, almost imperceptible. It always paused for a fraction of a second before striking its strongest move. That tiny hesitation was her opportunity. Alara moved closer, baiting the intruder. She feinted a strike with her right hand, then, in a smooth motion, blocked its counterattack with her left, redirecting energy harmlessly into the floor. The intruder staggered slightly, surprised by the sudden change in strategy. Cadets behind her took note, their fear replaced by understanding. "See that?" she shouted. "Predict. Anticipate. Adapt. That's how humans fight." The intruder recovered, its glowing eyes narrowing. It shifted tactics, launching multiple attacks simultaneously, faster than before. Sparks flew, metal clashed against metal, and the hall shook with the force of each strike. Alara moved like a shadow, her one-handed blocks precise, her strikes measured, each motion teaching the cadets what it meant to fight smart. Then a new danger appeared. The intruder's body emitted a pulsing light, and suddenly, the floor beneath them vibrated. The massive alien vessel outside had started transmitting energy into the intruder, amplifying its strength. Alara's eyes widened. She realized that if the energy kept flowing, the intruder would become nearly unstoppable. "Cadets," she shouted, "we need to disrupt the energy. Follow me." She dashed toward the nearest console, a compact control panel linked to the Academy's energy regulators. The intruder lunged, sensing her movement. Alara blocked its strike with one hand, twisting her body to avoid the impact, and reached the console. Her fingers flew over the controls, rerouting energy and creating interference patterns. Sparks shot into the air as circuits overloaded. The intruder froze for a moment, disoriented by the sudden energy feedback. Alara saw her chance. With one fluid motion, she grabbed a nearby staff, flipped into a crouch, and struck the intruder's side with a precise, controlled blow. The impact sent it staggering into a wall, energy discharging harmlessly around it. Cadets cheered quietly, inspired by her courage and skill. But Alara knew the fight wasn't over. The intruder recovered almost instantly, its eyes glowing brighter, its attacks more aggressive. Every strike became a test of endurance, precision, and strategy. Alara focused. She had to use every tool at her disposal. She moved with a combination of acrobatics, martial skill, and tactical thinking. One hand blocked, the other redirected, a swift kick to destabilize, then back to defensive stance. The intruder adapted, but so did she. The cadets followed her lead, slowly learning to anticipate the intruder's moves, reacting in unison. Together, they became a web of coordinated action, each cadet inspired by Alara's one-handed mastery. The intruder's confidence faltered as it realized it wasn't just fighting a single human, it was facing a team capable of rapid adaptation. Then, the hall lights flickered, and the Academy shook again. The alien vessel outside had intensified its energy pulse. The intruder's attacks became erratic, overpowered by the sudden surge. Alara saw the opportunity. She moved with blinding speed, intercepting the next strike, and with a single hand, deflected the intruder into a corner of the hall. Sparks flew, and the intruder staggered, its movements slowed for the first time. "Now," she shouted to the cadets. "Focus the sensors. Disrupt the link." The cadets moved quickly, following her orders. Energy beams from the intruder were redirected, overloaded, and scrambled by the Academy systems. The intruder shrieked, a sound both mechanical and alive, and flailed as its amplified power diminished. Alara didn't stop. She approached carefully, one hand ready to block any counterattack. With precise timing, she delivered a controlled strike to the intruder's chest, sending it crashing against the wall. It lay there, shimmering, its glow dimming. For a moment, silence filled the hall. Cadets looked at each other, breathing heavily, but proud. They had witnessed something extraordinary, a human facing a superior enemy and prevailing through skill, strategy, and courage. Alara stood tall, her chest heaving, sweat on her brow. "We are not helpless," she said firmly. "We fight smart, we adapt, and we survive. That is what makes us human." Outside, the alien vessel pulsed once more, then retreated slightly, as if testing them from afar. The intruder inside the Academy remained subdued, unable to continue its attacks for now. The cadets gathered around Alara, their fear replaced by admiration. They had faced an enemy they did not understand and survived, guided by her skill and leadership. But Alara knew the danger was far from over. The alien vessel remained outside, connected to the intruder, testing them still. The Academy had survived this encounter, but the battle was only beginning. She looked at her team, her eyes firm and resolute. "Rest now, but be ready. We've won this fight, but the war is just starting. Stay alert. We adapt, we overcome, and we prepare for what comes next." The cadets nodded, understanding the weight of her words. For the first time, they saw not just a skilled warrior, but a leader who could turn fear into strength, danger into opportunity, and a seemingly impossible situation into a lesson in human resilience. The unexpected enemy had tested them, and humanity had shown its edge, not through overwhelming power, but through intelligence, adaptability, and courage. The Battle of the Academy was far from over, but Captain Allura had proven one undeniable truth. Humans could face the unknown and survive. And next time, they would strike even harder. The Academy had survived the initial attack, but the danger was far from over. Outside, the alien vessel hung in space like a dark sentinel, its surface shimmering with that strange liquid metal glow. Inside, the intruder had been temporarily subdued, but it was still alive, adaptive, intelligent, and unpredictable. Captain Allura knew that brute force alone would not save them this time. The intruder's connection to the vessel outside made direct combat nearly impossible. Every strike, every energy discharge could be amplified. The Academy needed a plan, a precise, intelligent strategy that leveraged their knowledge, environment, and human ingenuity. She gathered the cadets in the central command hall. Their faces were tense, but trust shone in their eyes. They had seen her skill in action, and they knew that following her guidance meant their best chance of survival. The intruder outside is not acting alone, Allura began, pointing at the holographic display of the alien vessel. It's coordinating with the intruder inside. Every attack we faced was linked to their combined energy. If we engage directly, we risk the entire Academy. Cadets nodded, listening carefully. Allura continued, "Our advantage is speed, intelligence, and creativity. Humans adapt. Aliens or advanced AI can predict patterns, but we can break them. We'll use the Academy itself as a weapon. Every corridor, every room, every sensor can be a trap." She tapped the display, highlighting the structural layout of the Academy. "We divide and confuse them. Lure the intruder inside into traps while keeping it distracted. Outside, we manipulate the scanners to create false signals. They'll waste energy responding to threats that aren't real." A cadet raised a hand nervously. "Captain, what about the vessel? It's massive. Can we really affect it from inside?" Allura smiled faintly, her eyes sharp. "Yes. It's not invincible. Large ships are slow to adapt. Small, unpredictable actions can disrupt its systems. It communicates with the intruder inside, remember? If we overload the link, we weaken both." The cadets began moving quickly, following her instructions. Some adjusted sensor grids, creating false signals. Others prepared energy diversions in the hallways. Allura led a small team, moving silently, like shadows. The intruder inside sensed the change almost immediately. It reacted, striking faster and more aggressively. Sparks flew as energy beams clashed with the cadets' defensive measures. But this time, Allura was ready. Every move of the intruder was anticipated, every strike met with precise counters. One cadet, following her example, blocked an attack midair, learning the rhythm of human reaction against adaptive intelligence. Outside, the alien vessel pulsed with energy, its shadows stretching across the observation windows. The scanners registered chaos, false ships, phantom attacks, and decoy energy signatures. The vessel responded to every signal, misjudging each movement. Allura's team worked like a machine. She directed them with calm authority, positioning cadets along corridors, triggering energy bursts, and creating distractions. The intruder inside began to hesitate, its movements less fluid, its attacks more erratic. It was learning, yes, but it was reacting to a battlefield designed by humans who could think outside predictable patterns. "Now," Allura said quietly, pointing to the central energy conduit linking the intruder to the vessel. "We cut the link. Timing is everything. 2 cadets with me." They sprinted down narrow corridors, moving past halls littered with sparks and debris. The intruder sensed their movement and struck, but Allura blocked and redirected every attack with one hand, twisting and flipping past obstacles with flawless precision. Cadets followed, inspired by her example, and joined the sequence of traps and diversions she had set. They reached the conduit, a dense, metallic column humming with energy. The cadets quickly connected their devices, designed to overload the energy transfer. Alara's eyes never left the intruder, which was now moving toward them at terrifying speed. "Hold steady," she whispered. "Wait for my mark." The intruder launched a direct strike, faster than anything they had seen. Alara moved like lightning, intercepting its attack with a single hand, redirecting its energy harmlessly into the walls. The cadets behind her executed the plan perfectly, sending a surge of interference into the conduit. Sparks erupted as energy overload cascaded through the system. The intruder shrieked, stumbling, its attacks faltering. The alien vessel outside pulsed violently, clearly affected by the disruption. Systems that had seemed flawless moments ago now blinked and shimmered with irregularity. Alara's eyes gleamed. This was the moment of advantage. "Press forward," she shouted. "We have them." Cadets moved through the hallways, activating the final phase of her plan. Energy barriers redirected attacks, automated defense turrets fired at strategic points, and holographic decoys confused both the intruder and the alien vessel. Every strike from the enemy was anticipated, countered, and used against them. The intruder, now disoriented, lashed out randomly. Alara advanced, one hand ready to block, the other controlling the tactical systems. With a precise strike, she redirected the intruder into a containment zone, designed as part of her trap. Sparks and light flared as energy dissipated harmlessly into the walls. The intruder's glow dimmed, its movement slowed, and it finally collapsed. The cadets cheered quietly, awe and relief mingling on their faces. But Alara's eyes were already on the alien vessel outside. She knew this was only a temporary victory. The external threat remained, but now, the humans had shown their power, their ingenuity, adaptability, and courage. She addressed her team, her voice calm but strong. "This is how humans fight. Not with overwhelming strength alone, but with strategy, creativity, and unity. We adapt. We survive. And we turn even the most impossible situations to our advantage." Sensors registered the vessel weakening, its energy pulses slowing. The false signals, the energy surges, and the redirection had bought them a critical window of time. Alara knew that if they acted quickly, they could force the alien vessel to retreat, or at least lose the initiative. "Prepare the next phase," she commanded. "We will exploit this opening. Every cadet knows their role. Stay focused." The cadets moved into position with precision, following every command without hesitation. The intruder's collapse had boosted morale, and each cadet realized that even against superior technology, human intelligence and teamwork could prevail. Alara moved to the central console, analyzing the remaining energy patterns. "The vessel outside is connected to more than just the intruder," she said. "It has other systems we cannot see, but its reaction shows it is vulnerable to disruption. We will create a controlled feedback loop, forcing it to recalibrate. That will give us the upper hand." As her team prepared, a final pulse of energy from the vessel threatened to destabilize the academy. Lights flickered, alarms blared, and the floor vibrated. But Alara remained calm. Timing, precision, and coordination, these were their greatest weapons. She counted down silently, then gave the command. Energy redirection devices activated, feedback loops engaged, and holographic decoys moved in perfect synchronization. The alien vessel pulsed violently, then faltered. Sparks shot across the observation windows as its systems struggled to adapt. The intruder inside attempted to rise, but it was too late. Containment fields held it securely, and the energy linked to the vessel had been severed. The threat was temporarily neutralized. Alara exhaled, her chest heaving slightly. She looked at the cadets, pride shining in her eyes. "We have done what few would believe possible. Humans can think, adapt, and overcome. Never forget this. Today, strategy and intelligence won the day." Outside, the alien vessel hovered, its glow dimming as it retreated slowly into the darkness of space. The cadets watched, a mixture of relief and awe on their faces. They had witnessed not just a battle, but the proof that humanity's greatest weapon was not brute strength. It was the mind, creativity, and unity. But Alara knew this was not the end. The universe was vast, threats were endless, and intelligence alone was never enough. They had survived this encounter, but greater dangers waited beyond the stars. The Academy was safe for now, but Captain Alara and her cadets were ready. They had learned the lesson of tactical genius, that survival was not just about fighting, but thinking, adapting, and striking at the right moment. And in the coming battles, that would be the difference between defeat and victory. The Academy was eerily quiet now. The alarms had stopped, but the tension in the air was heavier than ever. Outside, the alien vessel lingered like a shadow, massive and silent, waiting for its next move. Inside, the intruder lay restrained, glowing faintly as containment fields pulsed around it. Captain Alara stood at the center of the command hall, her eyes scanning every sensor readout. The cadets were on edge, their nerves taut, but they trusted her completely. They had survived impossible odds, but she knew that this final confrontation would test them like never before. "This is it," she said quietly, almost to herself. "No more tests. No more experiments. If we survive this, it will be because we face the enemy head-on, with skill and courage." Her words carried weight. The cadets nodded, understanding that the next moments would define everything. The intruder stirred within its containment field, its glowing eyes locking onto Alara with an intelligence that was both alien and terrifying. It had learned from their previous encounters and now seemed to anticipate every move. Alara took a deep breath, her hand resting lightly on the control panel. She needed a plan, not just brute force, but strategy, speed, and intuition. The intruder's connection to the alien vessel outside made direct confrontation dangerous. But there was one weakness, the energy link. She had disrupted it before, but only temporarily. This time, she had a different idea. "Cadets," she said, addressing the small team gathered around her. "We will draw it in. One wrong move from the intruder, one mistake in its calculations, and we take control. Follow my lead. Trust your instincts and stay ready." The intruder sensed the preparation and activated defensive energy shields. Sparks flew as it tested its restraints, but Alara had anticipated this. She triggered a controlled pulse through the containment field, forcing the intruder to expend energy maintaining its position. Its glow flickered slightly, a sign that the link to the vessel outside was weakening. Alara moved closer, one hand ready to block, the other manipulating controls. She studied the intruder's rhythm, every twitch, every flicker of its energy. "It learns, yes," she whispered to the cadets. "But humans learn faster. Watch, anticipate, and strike." The intruder lunged suddenly, faster than any human could naturally react. Alara blocked the strike with one hand, twisting her wrist to redirect the force, and flipped backward to avoid a follow-up attack. Cadets mirrored her movements, each block and countermeasured to perfection. Outside, the alien vessel pulsed violently, sensing the energy surge from the Academy. Its shadows stretched across the observation windows, almost as if it were aware of every movement inside. The intruder, now connected directly to its ship, grew stronger, but Alara was ready. She tapped into the Academy's auxiliary systems, rerouting energy through the defense grid. Sparks and arcs of electricity lit the hall as the intruder struck again. Alara intercepted with one hand, using the energy to amplify her own defensive moves. She moved like a blur, dancing through attacks, every motion precise, every step calculated. Cadets watched, inspired, learning not just from her strength, but from her strategy. Every strike they observed taught them something about human ingenuity, about turning the impossible into an opportunity. The intruder paused briefly, its glowing eyes narrowing. It seemed to analyze the situation, recalculating, trying to anticipate the next move. But it had underestimated the humans. Alara had studied its energy patterns, noting that it relied on predictable sequences when overloaded. "This is it," she whispered. "Focus your attacks on the link. Break it completely." Two cadets moved swiftly, following her instructions, activating devices designed to disrupt the energy transfer. Sparks shot across the hall, and the intruder hissed, staggering under the sudden overload. Its attacks became frantic, uncoordinated, revealing its vulnerabilities. Alaris seized the moment. She advanced, moving faster than the intruder could track. One hand blocked a desperate strike, the other redirected energy to destabilize its balance. Then, with a single, precise blow, she struck the intruder in the chest. It collided with the wall, energy dispersing harmlessly around it. For the first time, the intruder lay still, its adaptive power neutralized. Outside, the alien vessel pulsed violently, sensing the failure of its agent inside. Alara knew the next moments were critical. She activated the final phase of the Academy's plan, a controlled feedback loop designed to force the vessel into retreat. Holographic decoys, energy surges, and false sensor signals combined to overwhelm its systems. The vessel shuddered in space, glowing irregularly as it struggled to maintain stability. Sparks of energy shot across its surface, and for a moment, it seemed as if it might collapse entirely. Alara watched, her eyes sharp, waiting for the right moment to strike. The intruder twitched, a final attempt to regain control, but Alara was faster. With one hand, she intercepted its desperate lunge, twisting and redirecting its energy safely into the wall. The cadets behind her activated the final surge, sending a pulse through the containment field. The intruder's glow dimmed, and it collapsed completely, unable to continue. Silence fell across the hall. The cadets stared in awe, breathing heavily, their fear replaced by triumph. They had faced a superior enemy, one that adapted and evolved faster than any human mind could calculate, and they had prevailed. Alara took a step back, her chest heaving, sweat on her brow. She looked at her team, pride and relief shining in her eyes.
"We have done it," she said. "We've survived.
We've adapted. And we've proven that humans can overcome even the greatest threats." Outside, the alien vessel hovered, its systems damaged and unstable. It pulsed weakly, then slowly retreated into the darkness of space, leaving the Academy intact. The immediate threat was over, but the universe was vast, and Alara knew this was only one battle in an endless war. Cadets gathered around her, some smiling, some trembling, but all inspired. They had seen human ingenuity, bravery, and resilience at its peak. They had learned that strategy and intelligence could turn even the most impossible situations in their favor. Alara addressed them, her voice calm but filled with authority. "Remember this moment. Remember what we have done. Strength alone does not win wars. Wisdom, courage, and adaptability do. We are human. That is our greatest weapon." One cadet stepped forward, voice trembling with admiration. "Captain, you led us through the impossible. We followed because we trusted you." Alara smiled faintly. "And I trusted you. Humanity's strength is not one person, it is all of us, together. Never forget that. This is only the beginning." The intruder remained contained, its eyes dim, no longer a threat. The Academy's systems slowly stabilized, sensors blinking back to normal. The cadets took a moment to catch their breath, realizing the scale of what they had accomplished. Alara moved to the observation window, looking out at the receding alien vessel. A faint glimmer of light reflected from the distant stars. She knew the danger was not gone forever, but humanity had survived. They had adapted, fought smart, and proven that even against unknown enemies, they could prevail. The cadets joined her, standing silently as they watched the vessel retreat. Each of them felt a mix of exhaustion and triumph, understanding that the universe was full of unknown dangers, but also full of opportunity. Humanity had survived. Humanity had won. Alara turned to her team. "Rest now, but stay vigilant. We have learned today that survival depends on observation, strategy, and courage. We will be ready for whatever comes next." The Academy was quiet once more. The intruder neutralized, the vessel retreating, and the cadets standing strong. Human ingenuity had triumphed. And Captain Alara knew that, no matter what the universe threw at them next, they were ready. For humanity, the battle was over, but the war and the adventure had only just begun.